Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's the author of the book Step Up Your School Leadership Game, no other than Dr. Cynthia Rapaido. Welcome to Book 101, Miss Cynthia, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Daniel Luca. Um, I'm Dr. Cynthia Rapaido, and I have been in education since 1987. I started off as a teacher. I was a biology teacher, chemistry teacher, did that for 9 years. And then in 1997, 10 years later, I went into administration, becoming an assistant principal, and then later on becoming a principal of a high school. So all my education career path has been in working with high school students, and then retired in 2019. With that, I pivoted, and then that was when the COVID hit as well. So 2020, my dad was ill. And so I just said, I need to retire early so I can help the family take care of my dad. And then in the meantime, what I ended up doing was I ended up working with the university as a field supervisor. So coaching those teachers that want to be go into teaching. And then I also became an educational leadership coach. So then I was also working with administrators as they were getting their credential to become assistant principals. And then now um, at this year 2025, now what I do is I coach administrators, I mentor administrators, and still continue to work with new teachers or teachers that are going into education. And then wrote a book, Step Up Your School Leadership Game, to support new administrators as they go into the field.
Dr. Cynthia Rapaido, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. So,
Thank you.
what are the main objectives of Step Up Your School Leadership Game?
So the main objective is mainly to, the reason why I wrote the book was to help new administrators or people that are considering to go into the field, give them the toolkits, toolbox to navigate areas that might not be what they've been exposed to. And so the first part of it, well, there's actually 5 sections of the book. And the first section is basically know yourself. And then and that is like 3, 4 chapters. Know yourself, know your leadership style, know your core values and your non negotiables. And then the second section is about hitting the ground running. And so what that basically is getting to know your facilities and the ground that your school is on, not just the ground, but knowing the buildings and everything about the building, so that if there's an emergency, you know where to go, where everybody is, and you can help navigate the rest of the school. And then at the same time, building those important relationships with everybody from students, teachers, parents, and people that work in the schools. And then the third section of the book is nuts and bolts. So the nuts and bolts is, the nitty gritty stuff, what you should know. You should know about the curriculum, the instruction, the assessments, all the important documents, as well as finance and budget. And then the fourth section is about the purpose of what we do, those we serve, looking at the student affairs. So, how do you connect the students so they feel like they belong? And at the same time, having the expected behaviors of the students so that way this campus is safe and that the students can stay engaged. And then also building relationships with parents, the community, guardians, to support their child, as well as working with the faculty and staff, building capacity so they're not just pigeonholed into one part of their job, but being able to work with each other as a team. And then the last part is space, time, and energy. And that is basically how to stay organized, how to get organized, stay organized, how to make sure that you are taking care of yourself and self maintenance, and then just embracing the role. So, those five sections cover that whole gamut of stepping up at the school leadership game. And it can be for anybody, it can be people that might have jumped from being a teacher to working at the district office and never became a principal or a site leader, but then they are now a leader at the district office, and they might say, oh gosh, now I have to support these principals, but I never was a principal. So it actually helps them understand their role and how they can support them as well. And then it can be used at the universities for new administrators too.
So, Miss Cynthia, how did you address the challenges new school administrators face in the education system?
I think, there's a lot of uh, challenges just going from teacher to administration. Um, as a teacher, you're looking at lesson plans and curriculum, and you have your classroom. So whether it's a high school classroom, or an elementary classroom, you have the kids just in those rooms, and you might have 150 students at the high school level. But once you become an administrator of the school, you have the challenges of the bigger picture of now you are supporting not just the students, but you're supporting the teachers, and you're help guiding that leadership so they can, carry out the best practices in their classroom. You're also working with staff, whether they're in the support staff in the office, how to best support them. You're working with the parents. So there's a bigger community um, that can be very challenging. And to juggle all of that and still be able to stay afloat with all the expectations of running a school.
Very well said, Miss Cynthia. Very well said.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, what strategies does the book recommend for transitioning from a teacher to a school leader?
In terms of strategies, it's basically getting familiar with those areas. Um, First of all, you have to know yourself. You have to know your leadership style, so that way you can become a good leader. So, if you tend to be a little bit um, on the soft skill side, and that's fine. Just know that that's your style. And then how do you work with others that might not have those soft skills and want you to be more direct? Being able to uh, have those core values, have the non-negotiables. What is it that you stand for? What do you believe in terms of, educating all students, and being able to identify those areas of how to best grow.
So, how does the book define the role of a school leader in fostering a positive learning environment?
In terms of fostering a positive learning environment, there's a lot of ways that they can foster a positive learning environment, but it has to start with, um, the leader has to also model that. So by modeling that behavior, then and also having those expectations of the faculty and staff to also um, value that. Um, and if they are not, then that needs to be addressed. So if, for example, a teacher is um, being inappropriate with a student, and just saying they're an idiot, they're not very smart, that's hostile, and it creates a hostile environment in the classroom. So then I would have to be able to address that, and administrators need to be able to address that, so that way kids feel that they are valued in the class. So again, holding those high expectations, um, and then addressing that is really important as a leader. And then, again, modeling that, and being there for the students. So being visible is really important, not just being behind the desk and doing all the work behind the desk, but being out in front of the students. So at the beginning of the day, be out in front of the school, say hi to the parents, say hi to the students, welcome them. If they're inappropriate, then address it. If they're using bad language, call them on that. Say, hey, that's not appropriate at school. Say hi to them. Hey, how you doing, Daniel? It's great to see you. How's it going? Do some fist bumps. High five as they're coming in or leaving the school. Go to their games. Go to their clubs. Go to support them in the classroom. See them on the football field, on the tennis courts. Build those positive relationships so that way you get to know them, the students, more on a one-on-one, and not just students as the big group. I think that personal connection is really important.
So, Miss Cynthia, speaking of leadership skills, how does the book recommend developing emotional intelligence as a school leader?
In terms of emotional intelligence, part of it is um, there's this leadership, fruit leadership activity that I mentioned inside of it. It's a fruit leadership chart. And um, one of the fruit leadership styles is a grape. And there's others. There's a grape, there's an apple, there's a pineapple, and an orange. But the grape is the one that is the most um, sensitive to others, about building relationships, positive relationships, giving and getting group consensus, and wanting harmony in those relationships. So if somebody doesn't always have that that group consensus leadership style, um, becoming aware of it and developing it. So that way, um, if they're all about, data, and then if you call them on it and say, okay, I'm a grape and you're an orange because you like the data. We're going to need to work together. So let's see if we how to best work together. Now, knowing that one person is an orange and they don't really care much about group consensus or feelings, then it's time to say, okay, reverse it. I need you to mirror that because I'm sensitive. I need you to be inclusive, and include me in the decisions and ask me my thoughts. So then that becomes that emotional intelligence piece.
So, Miss Cynthia, your book is International Impact Book Awards. Can you tell us about it?
Oh, yes. So that is one of the awards um, that my book was entered into, and they basically liked the book and they also like the artwork, and that's where I'm recognized for that.
Miss Cynthia, thank you so much for sharing your award winning piece to the world. So, how can school leaders develop effective communication skill to engage their community?
And communication skills. So it's really important. Again, that visibility piece and making sure that they're connecting to the different people. Um, that's really a big piece. I mean, sure, people can do emails and they can do text messages in that sense, but that one-on-one, that FaceTime of working with each other, um, builds or breaks down those barriers, and it becomes that communication piece. And then it's also looking at who's at the table, not just who's at the table, but who's missing at the table, whose voice is not heard, and being cognizant about oh, I didn't hear anything from that person, and letting them become visible and saying, okay, Daniel, I didn't hear from you yet. Can I hear what your thoughts are on X, Y, and Z? Um, or if you don't want to have that, pointed out, I would say, okay, let's talk really quickly, but maybe talk to your elbow partner, what your thoughts are. Just two people at a time, and I'll give you 5 minutes, just kind of brainstorm what your thoughts are, and then that way they don't have to be in this big group, and all of a sudden they have to be afraid to express themselves. But now there's a little bit of more comfort of talking one-on-one with somebody close by, and then from there sharing out and saying, okay, what did you as a group, that your pair talk about, and what did you two talk about, and what did you two talk about, or is there anything that stood out that you want to share that your partner shared? Then you're highlighting your partner as opposed to talking about yourself.
Very well said, Miss Cynthia. Very well said. So, how does the book suggest handling conflicts between teachers and or staff members?
In terms of handling conflict, it doesn't really go so much into how to handle conflict. It does talk about making sure that uh, expectations are explicit, and being explicit with what you want from teachers, administrators, whatever your expectations are, making sure that it's explicit enough, and that I'm also following those expectations. I'm modeling it. And if it's not being done, then addressing it. Um, so that way it's it's across the board. And it's not so much of a conflict, it's just the expectation. And then addressing it if it's not being um, if it's not being followed.
So, Miss Cynthia, what would be your advice for those people out there who want to write their book?
What would be my advice? I
Yeah.
would say, let's write a book. Don't be afraid to write a book. It's really important, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, whatever that passion might be. My passion happened to be a nonfiction book, um, because I want to help others, because I needed a book like this to help me navigate. So I think, there's definitely steps to take, but it starts off with the idea of, yes, I want to be an author, and then just start mind mapping, what is it that you want to write about. And if you have different things you want to write about, okay, well, which one is the best topic that is you're most passionate about? I can say I want to write a cookbook, or I want to write a memoir, and I want to write a book on school leadership. But of the three, my passion is the school leadership book. And then from there, mind map, okay, what is it that I want to talk about? What are the things that are important that will need to be in that book? So then I would say, for others, for people that are just starting, just write it down. Don't be afraid to write it down. Don't edit it until later. In the meantime, just kind of write and formulate it. And then you can go back and edit and read and write it. And of course, those little steps that go with it. You do your own editing, and then you can get it professionally edited, um, and not be afraid to hear the comments and critiques, feedback from your editor, because they're there to um, be the reader. Um, Whereas they're the reader. They just want clarification. They want it to be smooth, and tell a story. Don't just tell us what to do, but tell us a story so it sticks.
So, Miss Cynthia, what would be your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
Ooh, so my short-term, long-term goals, right now, there's a lot of different things. I'm already coaching, and I'm doing the podcasting, so I'm enjoying that with the book, and how it kind of just opened so many opportunities. Um, so I think exploring those opportunities, whether it's facilitating meetings, or group coaching, or classes, um, I mean, that's all still kind of things that I've done because I taught and I worked with those. But at the same time, it's also my passion. But I don't want to get bogged down with a whole lot of things because I'm enjoying the discovery of being an author. Um, and then in terms of writing a new book, um, I think that, I mean, it crosses my mind, but I don't know if I want to do one just yet. I think I'm having fun with this book and trying to get it to hands of others.
Good luck to your goals, Miss Cynthia, and we are
Thank
looking
you.
forward for more empowering books.
Thank you.
And how does the book encourage school leaders to practice self-care and manage stress?
In the end of the book, one of the last chapters, yeah, one of the last chapters of the book, it does talk about self maintenance and self care, and part of it is, um, the physical maintenance. Making sure you get your exercise, um, eat properly. Eat healthy foods. Choose those foods so that way you have it in your desk or wherever you want to put it in your bag. So that way you're not just grabbing anything because you're so hungry. The mental um, exercise or maintenance of staying active and reading and learning things, engaging in things that you may not know that you like yet. So having hobbies, um, finding things like dancing or art and creativity, and explore those. And then at the same time, making sure that setting time, having boundaries, because it's easy to stay late and keep on working, day and night, but having boundaries of, okay, this is now my family time. This is now my time for me. This is now my time for looking at emails. So being really aware of where time is spent and then putting it into the calendar already. So looking and projecting out next week and the week after and the week after. Okay, I'm going to make sure I put time aside for whatever it might be, dancing or working out. So just being really focused on a healthy calendar.
So, Miss Cynthia, before we wrap up our discussion, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, Food 101, in its fifth season, people. Fifth season already. And with my co host, Chef Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in one of the five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. So, please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So, how does Step Up Your School Leadership game inspire confidence in a new school administrators?
I think that first chapter is inspiring in itself because it's about you as a leader. Um, don't be afraid. I think it inspires you to find yourself, find who you are, and bring that forward. Because it's always kind of scary to step up, but now you are the one that everybody's going to look up to. So I think the book, that's what it's meant to do, is to inspire people to not be afraid to take on the challenge, big or small, and just be confident with the role. Embrace that role. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to find some really hard challenges, um, but it's okay. you that's how you learn, and that's how you become better.
Yes, people don't afraid to commit mistake because mistake make you perfect in the future. Not totally
Right.
perfect, but better in the future. So,
Yeah.
Miss Cynthia Rapaido, thank you so much for sharing your talents to the world. And as I said, we are looking forward for more empowering books like this. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Daniel. My book, Step Up Your School Leadership Game, can be found on Amazon, and it will soon be available outside of Amazon in about 2 months from now. And I will. It's in paperback. It's an ebook, and it will soon be on Audible. So right now, again, it's on Amazon, and you can just look my name up, Cynthia Rapaido, or Step Up Your School Leadership Game, and you'll find it there.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Cynthia Rapaido because if you support her, as I said, more empowering books like this to come. So, Miss Cynthia, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, too, Daniel. It's
More,
been a pleasure.
more to come, people. See you soon.
Thank you.
You are most welcome, Miss Cynthia.